Good evening, everyone. How are we this evening? Good evening, everyone. How are we this evening? Hello. Hey, Kipper. Nice to see you. Okay, so, again, as usual, any questions, let me know. I have been making garage today with my stepson, and we had it pretty loud. And then I've just been making this track that I've got here. I'm going to show you in a second. I've had it really loud all day, which is really stupid of me. And I've got to say that a key thing is this: when you have it really loud, and I used to have it loud all the time, your ears compress, so you're protecting yourself, so you can't really hear everything. They tire so easy. But I was just working on a big fat kick today, so I like to feel it. So yeah, you've got to really take care of your ears. I never have. DJing back in the clubs in the days, are really harsh speakers and everything else. So yes, take regular breaks and don't listen too loud. I listen loud for the kick in the bass so I can feel it, but then I don't listen too loud. So I was working on this track today. Let me show you the track. Okay, it's in Bitwig. Is volume okay, everyone? I did play it the other night. I'll let you have a quick listen to it. Okay, so I want to talk about this new plugin that I've got. And yes, it's down here on the kick. And somebody was asking me about it the other day, so I thought I'd have a look at it today. And it's called Kick3. Most of you heard of Kick2, okay? And I watched a video online how to use it. It's pretty much the same. Just drag the file in, and then you can open or close and pull in. You know, so you've just got the kick of the track in. Now this had a bit of percussion. As I dragged in D-Tron running, I love that kick, and I love everything about it. The track, you know, it's just amazing. He's a fantastic producer, and I've been trying to get this kick, and I've been looking at synths today, speaking to my master engineer about getting a really good kick. So I got this, and before I go into it, I just want to explain to you, my master engineer is amazing. Does everybody's, David Penn, Sandy Rivera, all of Jackie's. And I just started to use him. I did master a lot of my own, but the depth you can get from analog mastering, and his second pair of ears is amazing, and his width, I don't know how he gets it so wide, but he's fantastic. So Kick3, I was saying, oh, I'm after this kick. So then I went down a rabbit hole going through sample packs and going on Splice and, you know, using Punchbox and using kick. And I just couldn't quite get it right. It was just the same. So then I got Kick3 up and I dragged the track in and I shortened it. And it sounds exactly the same. And what you do is you pull the kick in, you pull the track in, you find the kick, and you analyze it. And bring in, you drop the bass over here, and the top over here, so it splits them up. Okay, so let's have a listen to the kick. I've changed the envelope a little just to give a bit more attack for my track, but it was... It was like that. So for my track, the knock worked a bit better because I'm a bit houseier. But the sample I had in had something else in it. Okay, so if this is the volume. So if I turn it up, oh, it's chopped it. But here you can see it coming in. It had a rim, which is in the D-Tron track. So in the top bit, I got rid of the rim. So this is the top. And this is the bottom. And it just sounds amazing. It sounds just like the D-Tron kick. I'm totally flabbergasted by it. It's amazing. It sounds exactly the same. I've got to try. Let me listen to this one. Oh, that's it. It's the same kick. It's exactly the same kick without the snare. You know, I think he uses analog kicks, maybe the old Akai kicks, but it's amazing. I think it's one of the best plugins I've bought. Well, I thought it was at first. I'm going to go through 3 plugins today. While I'm talking, everybody, just put your questions in the chat so when I finish I can go through them. Hello, Nine. Hello, Adrian. Hey, Aaron. So, was it you, Aaron, that asked me about Kick3? So, oh my God, I love it. Now, I'm going to try it a bit more tomorrow on more distorted kicks and, you know, some old sample kicks that I really love out of old house tracks and see how that sounds. But on first use, it was perfect. Now, I've got another plugin, right, and it's a very similar idea. And it's called Backbone. This is it. And it's by Steinberg. It's like a Cubase thing. And this has been out ages. Okay. It's the same thing. You drop something in, it synthesizes it and it does it, but it sounds terrible. It doesn't sound terrible. It sounds all right. It's a good little tool, but they never worked it. Never worked quite right. It never really took off, and it doesn't work great in anything except for Cubase. It does work. I've just used it in another track I've just signed to Jackie's. I synthesized a cowbell and used the attack and decay. And it sounded all right. It sounded good, but this sounds perfect. You know, it sounds really good, and I would recommend it. I think it's 38 quid. That might have been the upgrade price, but it's one of the best plugins I've ever used. The kick's one of the most important parts of your track, and the least you can do is, so what I can do is now I could drag another kick in there, add another layer for the click, EQ it, and just have the character of that kick in there, but use this just for the bottom end and mix them both together. So yeah, it's really good. You've got macros, you've got distortion, you've got all sorts of stuff, reverb effects. You've got loads of stuff, filters, EQ, compressors, delay. Not that I'm going to use that on a kick. More for techno, it's really, really, really good. And it's also got something called trigger, which means that like an envelope follower. So you put something in it, you tune you zone into the frequency you want to use. Say you've got a breakbeat, and then you can add a kick to the breakbeat when it hits it, the kick that you choose. So a bit more bottom end and weight. So that's really, really, really good. Why recreate when you can use a sample? Well, I couldn't find the sample, and it's not that easy. The problem you've got with samples a lot of the time is they've been, and this is what the conversation I had today with my master engineer, is they've got saturation and all this kind of stuff on, and when it comes to getting punch and everything else, he reckons that he just get a really clean kick, and just unless you really need that character, don't do anything to it. Find a great clean sample. So the problem you've got is I had a kick which was similar, but it wasn't right. And then this kick was about 4 dB less numerical loudness than the other kick, and it sounded louder and it sounded bigger. So yes, that was a big one for me. Yeah, so it's a great plugin. I loved it. That's the first one that I did today, and yeah, I'll be using that all the time. It's really good. I like Kick3, but it just didn't sound, it sounded a bit digital for me. Whereas now this does sound great. I'm going to really put it to the test and get some really kind of old school kicks in there and see what it does. So yes, that's Kick3. Okay, so another plugin which we touched on last night and I started using a bit more today. There's Basslane Pro, and I've got that on the bass. So let's listen to it. And now turn it off. On. What it's doing is adding this. It's adding this to the sides, and it's some kind of psychoacoustic magic. And basically it doesn't affect the mono when it goes to mono, and it just makes the bass seem a bit wider. And I just kind of tuned it in. I put it on and then I tuned it in the mix. But great for making like that bass is from the Moog, the Moog, whatever you want to call it. It is Moog, I know, but us Brits call it the Moog. And yeah, I think this is going to be one of my new favourite plugins. It's sounding really good. It sounds really good. So yes, there's that. It's a really good plugin. So it had harmonics on the sides, and it's got a sub filter, but you can also boost it. I didn't like it on this, and it's got something which aligns the phase here, which sounded good there, to be quite honest with you. All I do with any plugin, like I said last night, is just play with all the knobs and see what they do and see if I like it or not. I've never used Thump 1.9. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. Is that a kick plugin? Okay, so that's the second plugin that I've bought this week, and I said to myself, I'm never going to buy another plugin. Hi Jay. I said I'm done with plugins. I don't need them anymore. But some of these things are just like, they're exceptional. So I've got the Kick3. I got the Tone Projects Basslane Pro. Okay. Now I wasn't going to buy this, right? But I went to buy. I've seen loads of people were using this, so I tried the trial, and I love the sound of it, which is just an EQ. But it's like a saturation analog EQ. Okay, so you got, it's modelled on an old analog EQ that I've never used, but I really like the sound of it. And what I did was I just, dipped it a bit there, 80 hertz, did the mids a little bit, highs didn't need anything, but just a bit of air. And then what I did was I opened into it, and you can affect anything down here. So had a bit of tube compression on it. That was nice. So what I did in the bottom was I just affected the mid, which is where the bass is. But when I went all the way across, I didn't like it, so I moved it back. But also, instead of just affecting the body and EQing the body, I EQ'd the transient a bit more. It sounded really good. So all I did was slide it all the way over there and slide it way back and see what sounded best in the mix. I didn't think about it, and it sounds amazing. So with the mids, I did the same, a bit more transient. And with the tops, I did the sides. And I like transients, so I did the transients on the top. But I don't think about it. I just go left, right, and see what sounds good. And this is it on and off. So watch when I'm doing this. So what it did was what it did to the attack of the kick and the bass was amazing. I can use a transient designer, and you might say, oh, well, you've got multi-band transient designers, but it just sounds amazing. I don't know what it is about it. And it just brought this track to life, and you have to tune in a lot. These are for the people whose ears are quite trained. Well, let's listen to the top of the bass, listen to the top end. I'll turn it on and off when the drums come in. But it's the transient at the bottom end. It just makes the track have a bit more groove. And yeah, I really feel the bass on it. Have a listen again. It's very slight, but I've got a great studio. That's the first thing. You might not be able to hear it, right? But again, it's day one with this plugin. I'm just learning it, and I just thought, is it another EQ? And when I tried it the other day, I thought that sounds great. So I ended up buying the bundle. I've not tried the compressor yet, but I used it today and I just went, wow, that's just like kind of really changed my track. I usually use it as an EQ on the master, the Curve Bender by UAD. And this is just different. What it did to the transients, for me, kick and bass, the feeling of the kick and bass is so important, and yeah, it is adding saturation. It does sound beautiful, and I really push the air, and you can hear it when I go in and out. It's a beautiful plugin, but they're not cheap. But yeah, I've not gone into anything else yet. I tried a bit of compression, didn't work. I don't want any stereo spread. I've already sorted. I don't really put stereo spread on the master. I like to do that in the track. So yes, this is my third plugin that I really like. And I did hit them up before I bought it and said, I work for Fader Pro. Can I get a what do you call it, for teachers? So they did. But I wish I'd bought the bundle on Black Friday because they have 40% off. But one of the best plugins, these 3 plugins have just gone, wow, I can see me using them on every single track. And I've never really, I use transients, multiband transients all the time. But what this did to the bottom end and the top end, just, I was like, this is fantastic. I really, really like it. Alongside what the Basslane did. Well, they're both by the same manufacturer. So that's the bundle. There was something else. There was a Unison mastering compressor, which is supposed to be really good. And then there was something else. I don't even know what was in that bundle. I just thought these are really good plugins. And I swore I wasn't going to buy any more plugins. So yeah, I just thought I'd talk about them plugins before we started tonight. So yeah, it was great. Kick3 is amazing. It sounds unbelievable on that kick that I've done there. So yeah, any questions for us? There's some new people in. Follette Brown. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Sorry about that. So, oh, you've been using it, have you? Yeah, it is really good. I just thought I had everything. I thought I had everything with all the plugins that I use, with the UAD, with Softtube. And they were really good purchases. All of these were really good purchases, to be quite honest with you. And what's the other one's called in the tone projects? Kelvin. I think that's just a toner, and Unison, which is a mastering compressor. I need to look at that. That's supposed to be fantastic. So yeah, I think you were seeing that in my mastering chain all the time when I do my DJ mixes. So in it today, I've got Pro Q3 just because I had that in first of all. I was automating the gain. Angelo, God Particle, on 100% actually, which I rarely do in dance music. Sounds great. Then I've got a bit of clipping with the Ash. I like the sound of SD Travos, the mode in this. It sounded really good. And then Ozone. What have I done on Ozone? So I'm not using a low end focus. Clarity, I just think it always makes things sound better. Then the maximizer, I'm using in balanced, and I just would have listened to the Delta to see what it was doing. Doesn't seem to be working. So yes, that is my mastering chain. And I like to think my track's kind of mastered, but sometimes when you finish a track and you put a couple of things, just boost general wide boosts on certain frequencies with something like the Michelangelo, I think it can really add something to it where your ears come back to it. I mean, I've just done this today, so I'm going to go away, come back, away, come back. It's quite a sparse track for me, but yeah. Adrian says, I'm going to go back to Adrian said, hi Jason, do you miss the analog gear for mixing like the SSL Big 6 when you have plugins like the Michelangelo nowadays? Now, I don't miss the Big 6, and I don't miss the Big 6 at all because I didn't like the sound of it. It didn't blow me away, and I liked it because I've got an analog desk for a bit, and then I found myself thinking, oh my God, I need more outputs. I need a better compressor. I need this, I need that. So no, I don't. For me, your synths and your hardware, the sounds that you're making are always better analog. But I really like the UAD. I really like all these high-end stuff like the man called Angelo. So I don't miss it. But if I had 10 grand to spare, I would probably buy a dangerous A to D converter, 8 out, Convert 8 I think it's called, and then 8 in, and then I'd probably buy the dangerous D-Box Plus, which is a summing mixer, 8 channel, which is also a monitor controller, and it's really high-end monitor controller, and your monitor controller can change the sound of what you're doing and the definition of what you're doing. So I have looked into them, but that, you know, just to give, when you separate things on a summing mixer, it does give it a bit of depth, which, you know, I think would really, really work. And the converters in those are going to be a lot better than the Apollo. So I'm guessing a lot of you don't really understand massively about converters, because a lot of my clients don't. So what I've got here is the Apollo. See it there? The Apollo. It's 2 in, 2 out. But it's a D2A and an A to D. That means it's got an out. You can go out of it and back into it. But a lot of these high-end converters are only out or in, so 2 separate boxes. So the most expensive one that I know of is like the Lavery Gold, and they are they're about 9-10 grand each. If you're in America, they're about 12 grand. So yeah, and then you're going to get 2 of them, and you know everybody swears by them, but people I buy all my gear off Studio Care in Liverpool, you know, he says converters are going to be changing loads quickly. So you'd have to buy a converter that goes from your computer, yeah, out, and then to your speakers, or to your compressors, or to anything else you might have. Your summing bus, summing strip, and then you've got to come back into your computer. So you're going to convert it from the analog domain back into digital into computer. Now, the difference is definition. You can definitely hear things better with these converters. Your ears have to be really well trained, right? But if you're recording into your computer or out and in, and you've got loads of analog gear, what it does, it slices up into loads of parts, right? And all them slices have a filter on them when they join it back together. And it's how good that filter is that stops any smearing when they're sticking those bits back together, right? And that's what you're paying for, is the filters that do it. And if I'm just doing what I'm doing now, a good, and it was just output from my computer, a good D2A will help me, you know, what I'm listening to coming out my speakers, but it's not going to make a difference to the sound in the computer. But if I'm doing stuff like going out and coming in, or coming from the synths coming in, then they'll give me a better conversion for the sound coming into it, and a better definition. So that's analog convert. That's what converters are. Now I've got the Apollo Twin. I make house music. You know, half of my stuff I'm putting stuff on to make it sound terrible. I've got the S2400, which I use for all my drums, and I put sounds in it. And then I've got an Audient, which I spoke about last night, so I'm not going to speak about it again. And that's got some saturation on it, so I can come out of the S24 into that, or I can come out of the Sub 37 and the sequential and go into that. They then go by ADAT into the Apollo Twin, because the Apollo Twin allows you to add extra inputs by ADAT, not outputs, just inputs. So would I benefit from one? Well, yeah, I think I would, because I'm recording in, and I do want to get my sound to be virtually 100% analog. Can most dance people hear the difference? I don't think so. I was speaking to master engineer. His name's gone. Rob Small, and he does all tech house. He does all hot creations, all everybody's, and he has two feeds. He has one for a digital master and one for an analog, and none of the labels use analog. You know, it's only people like me who want analog. The labels just want the digital master. So it's arguable, and it's all about what you want to do. I want to have the best sound that I could do. So got some big records coming this year. So if I start making a bit of money, then I might treat myself. And yes, so hope that answers your question, Adrian. We've got a few more new people in. Any questions for me regarding production? Do you think it's better to get the kick and bass sounding the best you can, then tune leads and other sounds around that? Tune. No. I like to tell everyone to always start with the lead, and I'll tell you why. Right. So many clients come to me and they start with the drums and the bass because we're DJs and we've learned Ableton, and most of my clients have learned online, right? And they've not learned the fundamentals, right? And that's what I teach in my one-to-ones when I do the course. This is what I teach. And the thing is that Salado send me people. You know, when people send them tracks, they don't sound great, they send them to me. And he sent me one guy once. It was a great guy. It was lovely. And he came in the studio. He had Ableton. And he sent me a groove before he came in, and it sounded wicked. The groove was wicked. But he came in, and he couldn't finish tracks, and he had 200 tracks, or kind of almost tracks. And he came in, and he said, I just can't finish tracks. So what we did was we got him to always start with a lead. So I said to him, what you need to do is find a killer lead, your synth sound or your vocal or whatever it is, right? Get that first. It's got to sound different. It's got to sound crazy. It doesn't want to be a splice, and just go into it and try and find sound. And I did a lot of time with him being creative on how to change sounds using samplers, you know, getting great sounds into samplers and then modulating it all in Ableton. You know, analog synths, just going separately and finding sounds that he really liked, because it wasn't full synths and melodies. He was making tech house, minimal tech, all that kind of stuff. And that's what most people like. And as soon as he started with the lead one was that sound. He worked everything to that sound. And the key to this, and this has worked for so many of my clients, right, is because when you write a groove, a kick and a bass line, you've created your melody already. You've restricted yourself, right? So if you find something and you write a hook that you really like, but it won't necessarily go with your melody, so then you don't like it. Whereas if you start with the lead and you have an amazing lead sound and a lead melody, the rest of it's easy. It's easy to get, it's not easy, but it's the easiest thing is to get a groove together. So I always say do the lead first, get that in, and then work everything around it. So yes, and that's it. Depends. If the bass, you know, is the lead at one part of the track, then yeah, your bass has to be killer with the lead though. And that's what I do, unless the lead's just going to be in the breakdown like some tech house tracks are. And yes, That's what I do. And I always start, like this track here, we spoke about this last night. I started off with, what track is this? So yeah, so this one, we got an acid line together. Or did we get the piano? No, we got the acid line together. This. I was inspired by a certain 80s techno track. Can you guess what it is? And there's loads of white noise on that. Bad recording that. But I'm not going to use it anyway. I'm going to use the real 303. So, and then I did the piano to it. But the piano's more of the groove. So we might have done the piano first. And then I would have done the bass. And then I would have added things in. Now, the thing about a piano is a lot of the time, the bass follows the low notes of the piano. That really works. But I wanted something really offbeat. So that's why I did the bass like this. So it's an offbeat thing, just really offbeat. So the kick's got loads of energy and that's got loads of energy. And then I had the organ. And then this one. And that I wrote to everything else. So then everything else is easy. You know, I've not finished this track yet. I've just been, it's just work in progress, but. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try that kick, see if that kick works in this. Kick3. So I've got this, but I've also got my user. Oh, it's not saved it in there. Okay, right. So I'll tell you what I do. I'll show you what I did with that other track. So I got this kick, and I got D-Tron running. Oh. Dragged it in. Analyze. Just went into it. Pull this across. That's the offbeat hat, so I don't really want the offbeat hat anyway, so I just took it to there. Let's get the beginning right. Pulled that in. Analyze and import. Well, that looks different actually. Or does it look different? Okay. So you got them both here. So then what I did was this. And then I've got the kick. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so I like that. How does it sound in the track? mess around with it. I'll mess around with it in the track when everything's playing. Straight away, it sounds brilliant. Oh, sorry, damn. Oh, sorry about that. Right, let me show you again. So I got Kick3, and I got D-Tron running, dragged it in, analysed it, go into it, just use 2 fingers up and down, push it. Oh, sorry about that, guys. And then pulled it along. And that's the offbeat hat, so I don't need that. And I've got an offbeat bass, so I don't want to go past the halfway anyway. Let's bring this in. Let's just get it right. Analyze and import. So analyze and import it. The track's there, it's muted. And then I've got the 2 sections. So I've got this, and I've got this. Okay. So this is the rim. Let's have a listen to that. So I've got the character of it. Hey, Rob K. I got the character of the top of the kick and then put it with it. I've got rid of all the crap out of the sample on the record. And then what I'll do is I'll look at it, I'll go to the kick and go, right, maybe I want a bit more thump, a bit more lower in volume. So I'll bring this down to an F or a G. Try a G. Maybe try an F. And I've got an amazing kick, which sounds exactly like the D-Tron one. I haven't got the rim in there. I've tuned it so it fits better with my track, but it's still the same kind of kick. And yeah, it's what an amazing plugin. And now if you listen to, I thought my other one was all right, but now listen to it. When I A/B between the two, mine's awful. Wow, my tracks just filled up. And look how long it took. You know, amazing. And it sounds great. It sounds exactly like the original kick. So I am, yeah, I mean, I love this. I'm not quite sure if I can do something with this here because it looks a bit. My eyes are telling me that I need to fade that out a little bit at the end. But okay, let's go to amplitude. Let's do that. Ah, that's the way. So you can change the volume of it along the way. And then if I just thought, right, I want a bit more like that. And if I go, right, okay, I want something a bit more distorted to it, I could go, let's just try it. Morning, Marcus. San Francisco in the house. Let me have a look. I'll have a look in my kicks. I've got some distorted kicks. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's nice. So if I bring that in, oh no, it's overwritten it. You can do that anyway. So I'm not quite sure how you do that. Oh, because it's got an undo button. So yeah, great plugin. Great. In fact, we've got this distorted. Let's see what we can do to that. That's amazing. I've just got the character of a kick and I've added the bottom to it and it sounds great. So yeah, what a plugin. What an absolute plugin. I love it. Thank you for that. I do sometimes fall into that trap of writing the bass then struggling to add it. And you explain why. You're very welcome. Hi Rob, hi everyone. Any more questions for me? We've got 10 minutes left. And I've been flat out with making garage today. So I think that plugin there is great. And I've just done that twice now, and it's just, you know, I love the character of these kicks, these distorted kicks, but I don't like the bottom end of them. And I've sampled most of them. But now I can get that character and just add it into my track with it sounding analog. Okay, missed any questions here. Where are you? 9 Northtown. It's snowing in England if you're in England. Ask me anything, guys, girls. That's what I'm here for. Okay, let me have a look at this track. Let me think about what I'm going to do to this track. So I've got this track. It's just, I've got the ideas and it needs a good mix. And I've actually got a bit of a vocal. So I made it all. I really like it. I just think the acid sounds a bit presetter with the synths, and there's a sound that I'm looking for. So I've got the 303. I'm going to use that. And it's not that kind of track. It's more of a journey. My music, I like to be a lot of journey. So sometimes I'll have like an effects thing here. I'll have like 15, 20 things, and some things will be in once, some things will be in twice, some things will be in 3 times, just to make it a bit more interesting. But with something like this, I'd usually mess around with the drums a little bit more, just to give it that feeling and that journey, so we're not doing too much. But I've got this vocal. I've got to go through it, which is a pain in the ass. I hate doing it, but yeah. So what I did was I had the track, which is a bit of a demo. It's not mixed, it sounds good. And I found a girl on Tinternet called Francesca. And and she's got a recording set up at home. And so she just came up with loads of ideas. And what I'll have to do now is go through it, and I'll go through it, and I'll listen to it, and I'll just go like that. Command D, and then I'll colour everything in order of priority. So if that was amazing, it'd be that. If it was a red is no, so I'll get that. I'll go, okay, that's no, red, and then everything from purple downwards, like the brightest colour is part of the hook, and then my greens for go will be other things that I really like as well. And doing vocals is a pain in the arse. So what I'll do is I'll go through it, I'll find something that I really like. She may want to re-sing it, take it away, practice it, nail it better. and she may want to go. Never met her, but she's from Manchester. Well, she's from Wales, where I live now. She lives in Manchester, where I used to live. So we'll get a studio in Manchester or Liverpool, and I'll go through all these, which is I just don't like it. I just wish I had someone to do it for me. Back in the day when I was learning, like you guys, I was sat behind, so I was like, yeah, no, and the engineer. All the engineers that I used back in the day that I learnt from were all the top house engineers, so they would do a lot of it for me. I was a bit lazy, to be honest with you. I wish now that I'd learn a lot more when I had all that experience. Obviously, I did, but I worked with some really special kind of engineers and amazing people. And that's what I do with vocals, just go through it and then I'll make an arrangement, I'll get something that I like, and if I think it needs something different, I'll tell the vocalist to do that. And then I'll record it and then we'll come back in and I've got it. And guys, if you've got a track, right, and you've got a really good track, and it's just it's a vocal which is a sample, there's two things you can do. The first thing is you can just stick it into AI or copy it and you'll get away with it. Apparently that track on Nervous, it was #1 for ages, that did the Last Night, the P Diddy vocal. He did that in AI. So that's one thing that you can do, so you're not getting done. But I would get it re-sung. What I do is I get tracks in and then I'll put what I used to do back in the day was get acapellas, bring them in, make the track to the acapellas, and then send the track to the singer, right? And if they came up with some ideas and didn't like them, I'd say, well, I like this vocal on it, yeah? And then they'd get an idea of the vocal and they'd sing something like it. But I would choose the vocalist right for the song. And a lot of people, a lot of people are out there, are amazing singers. They record from home because they're on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. I did a whole album as Cubase, which is more kind of melodic and stuff. And virtually every singer was found on the internet. So they are out there. And then all I did was send the vocals, once I'd done all this to them, sent them to somebody who's amazing and got them to tune them when they needed tuning. So I would say, guys, if you've got songs that need vocals, get the track finished, get the track so it sounds amazing as an instrumental, and send it to singers, and they'll do them for you. You might have to pay them a bit of money, but sometimes you don't. There's young people. The problem you've got with a lot of singers is that some singers are amazing singers, but not amazing songwriters. And then you go through it, and it's you have to tell them that you don't like the vocal. And that's when you start getting into nightmare territory of people getting the ump with you and all that kind of stuff. So we're on the hour. Any more questions, anyone? And anything quite big you want me to talk about tomorrow? Nine Northtown. Do you ever run separate sections of your drums through compression, or just to get extra punch or tones? I run my kicks through Blease multiband compression for variety. Can do, yeah. So like, I might put something on the bus. I might put something in parallel. No, it's quite a common thing where what some people will do is do some parallel compression to the mids, just to give the mid section or any section a little bit more energy. And what they'll do, they'll just add that in the chorus, so the chorus just has a bit more punch. That is a thing, actually, but well done. There's lots of things you can do to your drums. I like to do it individually. Getting the best samples. I always said sample choice is everything, is the main thing. And the punch, a lot of the time, first of all, punch comes with sample choice. But B, punch, well, it depends how you make tracks, but if you've got all your music in and your drums don't kick through at the right volume, yeah, because they're hidden by everything else, and you've got the wrong sample. It's as simple as that. You know, I'm going to go back to mine. You know, I've got lots of different hi-hats here. And they're all for different frequencies. So if I've got a closed hat and I get the track and the closed hat's the main hat or the open hat, you know, at the end of the track, it's being lost in everything. I'll try a different hat, you know, or I'll add something like really, really high, just on top of the hi-hat, just so I can hear it coming through with everything else in there. And I might just add that in the chorus when everything else is there. So sample choice is everything, and volume. You know, if you want your drums to really come through, turn the volume down of everything else. Your faders are the first tool you should use, you know, always. A lot of the time people send me mixes, and besides a few little bits, you know, the main reason why their mix sounds better is because I've flattened all the faders and just changed the volume of everything. And what I do is, when I'm mixing a track, if somebody sends me a track now and I've got this track, right, what I would do, if the mix is almost perfect, just needs a bit of tuning, I won't touch anything, right? But if the levels are all over the place, too much, I turn all the reverbs and delays off, okay, and then I gain stage everything. So I gain everything to -12, no plugins, right? Every single sound -12 pre-fader. So you do that on the synth, on the output of the sampler, or in audio, go in and change the clip on it. And then I'll come in here, and then I'll start with a kick, and everything has to work around the kick, right? So I will always be listening to the kick when I'm adding a sound. Go, right, am I losing the kick and the clap there? All right, yeah, it's just touching it. Maybe that needs to come down a little bit more. You know, what do you want? Do you want loud bass and loud piano, or do you want drums to really rip through like in-house? Well, it's sample choice and volume. That's the key to it. So yeah, have we enjoyed it, everybody? I've done a couple of like 1.5 hours, so it seems to be quite short when I do an hour. Rob, I will do something on bass compression, 100%. Because there's a few things we need to talk about there. And are you here tomorrow? If so, I'll do it tomorrow, and we'll talk about bass compression. Okay? Thanks everyone for joining. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Please ask some questions. Oh, on Monday, I may have somebody called Graham Farmer. Okay. He owns Data Transmission. And he's a bit of a specialist in the industry. And he's going to come on Monday if I can make it work. That's his Instagram. So we're going to see if we can get the output going through OBS. So you lot can comment. I can look at you on my other screen as I'm doing now. And you can all ask him any questions. So think of any questions of anything to do with social media, the industry that you want Graham to ask you. That's his Instagram in the chat. And yeah, I think that's going to be Monday. Okay, everybody. See you tomorrow.